Notice that it floated above the aluminum. I mean, something mystical inside the aluminum was doing something like happened inside of copper.
You can't run current through aluminum like a wire.
Yeah.
And traditionally it's said it's non-conductive, but actually you're saying it is conductive.
Well, something occurred. Actually, what's happening is that this only works if it's AC electricity.
Alternating current.
Alternating current. Okay. Notice that this only worked if it was moving. In other words, when I'm working with this, it doesn't care a thing about each other.
Right.
But when I have motion, something happens.
Right.
Because I knew you were coming, I called a friend of mine who was a Navy doctor during the same time period we're talking about. Slightly after that, and he all of a sudden was healing a pilot, a person who had been a pilot. And he began to tell him a story, and he basically said, one day I was up in one of the faster airplanes that we had, and I had something that was a spherical object that was ahead of me. And I called back and I said, are there any friendlies over here? He actually took off from a Texas location, headed off that way, and
towards New Mexico.
And he said, they said, well, no, there's no friendlies here. He said, not only that, but he's accelerating away from me, and yet I have the fastest airplane that's been designed. And therefore it can't be one of us.
Well, that was.
And he said, well, they said, well, you have the weapon on board. It was a new design.
Oh.
And he said, go on ahead and shoot it down. And so he did.
He shot down the Roswell craft. Do you know who did it?
He said, don't give the people my name, nor give
you know this
nor
man?
give, no, certainly.
He shot it down.
He's a very dear
What kind of a weapon?
The doctor is a very dear friend of mine.
What kind of a weapon?
I don't know. We have all kinds.
Because bullets were only 1,500 miles an hour back then.
We have all kinds of things out there.
An electromagnetic pulse.
Soviet Russia.
Anyhow,
Nikola Tesla died in the Hotel New Yorker on July 7th, coming into the morning of the 8th in 1943. Freedom of Information Act request. FBI FOIA documents reveal that Tesla's death ray was the only defense we had against atomic bombs. And the question is, as these documents reveal, this secrecy around the Tesla death ray, which is a laser weapon used to strike at an aircraft as a ray to short circuit all of its electrical systems, all of the spark plugs, all of the engineering in the craft to actually down the craft. The question is the Tesla death ray the weapon that was used, that Boyd Bushman's testimony tells us, to take down the flying saucer at Roswell? Because we know from the dates that the Tesla death ray was being developed in 1943 by the United States government, and the Roswell craft appears in our skies in 1947 in July, that there's plenty of time to have developed the weapon that we shot down them at Roswell.
Well, then the individual said that he went and landed at a nearby airport, went over and walked into the craft. Evidently one of them was out walking around, because there were only 3 when he was in.
3 aliens at that time?
And he walked in and they were all 4 feet and under. But he could see through the walls of the craft from the inside out.
Whoa.
And it kind of...
translucent material.
And the material he was stepping on was spongy, he said. It wasn't...
So what about this liquid wall at Roswell?
Well, if you will follow your friend and mine, Lazar, they didn't find any light bulbs, any electricity, or any requirement for such a thing.
Do you think we'll survive global warming?
The question is they're alive. The people that are alive will figure out how to escape this
I know
place.
what you're saying, yeah.
And actually, nature wants to tell us how to escape. I mean, with the additional 4 forces that we're working toward, there should be no problem.
Going to Andromeda.
cut it.
We can get to Andromeda with one of the other forces, not the forces we know.
Exactly.
That's it.
And we will be able to travel faster than the velocity of light, of course.
Well, Paul
but see, Einstein simply said you cannot communicate beyond the velocity of light using photons.
But action at a distance proves that
But let's say that, well, and if I had a blind Einstein, he said you couldn't travel faster than the velocity of sound.
Right.
If a seen blind Einstein says you can't travel faster than the velocity of light.
Right, I guess so.
But if thoughts could travel faster,
right,
then he would say
there's another
you
force.
can't travel faster than the velocity of thought.
That's incredible. Action at, you know about spooky action at a distance.
Yep.
And singularity.
Now that's, you tied them all together. It worked in your mind.
Because Paul Dirac said in this,
perfectly right.
When Paul Dirac saw the birth of electron, anti-electron, electron-positron pairs coming from super gammas, that he believed he found this substratum to the universe that was non-dual. It was pure negative. And I don't even know if it was really negative. It was just single. And he said, my God, if you could become one with that, you could be anywhere in the universe in zero time because there's no resistance in that singularity because there's no polarity.
Well, there is another universe called the neutrino universe, of course.
Right, neutrinos.
And we know that it's there, and now we're seeing if one of the additional forces matches it.
So the neutrino universe is another universe, not just.
Not only that, we know that we have. We know that what we have is we're about 5%. Everything that we see is about 5%. And then there's dark matter that we don't see.
Right.
And then beyond that is about 70% of dark energy. And that's what we're talking about. The energies that we don't now have cataloged. And we don't have name, and we haven't done critical tests on them, and we're just barely beginning to start operating.